Good morning. Our hand today is going to be Jack 10 of Diamonds. We are playing a 5NL game. Under the gun, open raise. And we get two colors here. So under the gun, EP, we're going for this. And then these two players call. This player's played in 27-20. We got 76 hands on him. Early position plays about 13% of hands, 2 out of 15. Pre-flop, he hasn't called. He does limp occasionally. I've got him for 2 out of 40. 3-bet, only have one. I do have a note that he calls 3-bets with ace-king off when he's in position. So that kind of makes me think that his 3-betting range is going to be fairly tight. So I put together a range like this. This is almost 10%. So if you got the pocket pairs, you got broadways. I'm going to assume he's going to 3-bet kings plus. And then I put 50% for the ace king since he did call. So we do have the possibility that he could 3-bet me with ace king, and sometimes he might just call. We'll give him suited broadways, just these higher suited connectors, and we'll go with it. I don't think he doesn't seem overly loose. We've seen about 20% for MP, 44% for cutoff, 22 for button, 56 for small blind. Those could be anomalies, or actually maybe these are anomalies. Just tough to say. We do know, look at some of the hands, call 2-bets from blind, 9-7 suited, king jack off. Depending on the situation, maybe those are okay calls. Maybe they're just way too loose calls. It's without more hands, it's going to be difficult. So we're going to go with that range. This player, I'm assuming, is going to be much wider. We only have 9. He's playing 33-33. 0 pre-flop raise at this point, but again, hands, very, very few hands. So I'm going to give him a range like this and assume he raises with kings plus, ace king. We're going to give him suited aces, suited kings, all of these. He's in the big blind. It's only 2 more for him to call. I think that's pretty general, pretty okay range here for him. So we see a flop of Jack 10-9. We connect, but probably not how we want to connect it. Villain leads into us here, and based on this, what do players lead in? This is a 5NL game. I don't think they really lead straights. I think straights or flushes tend to go for check raise here. He did bet smaller, so this might be a quarter pot or so. I think I'm gonna take out the straight because again, I think he would check raise. Don't really think sets are going to be doing this. Normally, when I see this, it's going to be like a top pair weak kicker, so nothing like ace jack. Maybe a king jack. We'll do that for 50%. Maybe a king jack. Queen jack could do that. Jack 8 could do that. Maybe a middle pair to see, does anyone have a jack. And I think it's unlikely that he has a top pair hand. So we're going to say that is his raising range. And then it comes to us. What do we do? I should say that's his betting range. What do we do? It's kind of somewhat of a bad flop because based on what everyone has, I mean, we could be like way ahead, or we could just be barely ahead with both players having some pretty solid draws. If I raise, I'm not really sure if we're going to get any folds. It's like if we raise, what comes along? I think a straight set, 2 pair. Actually, I think over pair comes along. Top pair probably comes along with the flush. Let's do here. See this along with the flush draw, open ender. I think comes along. I don't think the gut shot comes along if I raise it here. So we're looking at like 55.4%. We've got 2 pair. We do beat. Let's just do this. Let's just take out everything and say we've got 2 pair here. Where are we? We're going to be ahead, but I don't think we're going to be ahead by much. So does it change if we just call? Does it really change much? I kind of feel like middle pair is going to fold. I think if anything, maybe we get a gut shot starts to call. I think that's about it. So I kind of, I'd say let's do this back. I think we could be justified in raising. I think we could justify raising a straight. I think if we raise a straight, then we're going to be raising some other hand. I think we could raise a set, kind of build a pot. I think that's justified, and I think two pair could be a raise, and then I think kind of an over pair is probably a call. Top pair is probably a call. Middle pairs questionable. I think maybe if we can call and we see that he folds, then it opens up possibility of taking the pot down by increasing aggression on the turn in the river. I think we're easily calling those. I would say if I raise the straight sets in two pairs, then we're probably going to be raising these combos hands like ace queen, king queen, maybe 9-8. 9-8, that's a straight flush draw. We'd be raising those. I don't think we're raising the open enders. And then, of course, maybe we can raise like pocket sixes, just kind of as balance. So I think that's what we would do. So what do? I just called, so I did take those out. So we do have some flush draws. We got those. On this board, I don't think I'm chasing any of these bottom pairs. So we got 56% is what we're calling. I think with the overpair. And again, two pair, I could see myself, I did call two pair. Maybe the sets two. No, we'll leave two pair, but sets might have been a raise. And then kind of a slowdown. Straights would be bet and then a bet again. This will make it easier to balance because we've got so many sets. So let's just scale this. Let's just say 50% of the time we were raising, 50% we were just calling. I think that's probably a little bit better. Okay, so I called, and then Villain calls again. So we said this was his call. We're going to say that is his standard call here. Okay, six of hearts comes out. On the turn, this guy checks. I think at this point, it is, he doesn't have set two pair, over pair. Oops, oh, that's my hand. I think it fits everything. I think it's less, yeah, he could still check all of those. I would say he's going to check 100% of the time. And now it's on us. What do? I think here, now we bet our sets, and our two pair is what we hopefully should be betting. And I don't. I check. I think that's a mistake. I think we bet our set. I think we bet our two pair. And then I think also we start betting our flush draws. And the pot is 16, so we should be betting maybe 12. We should be going larger. Get more money in the pot. And with that, if we do set two pair, that's 12%. If we add our flush draw and if we add our open ender, we've got 27%. We'll have to add maybe the overpair as well. I think the queen's already there. It's a one card, so maybe something like that. Aces, kings, and leave the queens. I think that could be our bet. So we made a mistake here. Let's set these up for call. do one card. Oh, that's everything else. All right, and then he checks. I don't think he checks a straight. Maybe a set. Maybe a set. We can scale that. Go 50% on that. It makes it a little bit easier. All right, so I went check all the way through. Ace of diamonds, not the greatest. But we have two pairs, so we figure to be good. Villain checks here. At this point, I discount two pair. I think he's a weak pair, middle pair. I think we've got him crushed. We definitely need to go for some value at this point. We missed it on the turn. And I think we would probably be doing two pair and then maybe something weak like pair eights or something like that. That would be it. Try to go for some value. I went for some value, so half pot. Villain 2 calls, which, question is, what do you call with? I don't think he calls with the set. I don't think he calls with the two pair. I kind of think top pair hand is one that could call. Maybe not, maybe that, but I'm not too worried. If he shows up with a straight, he shows up with a straight. That's just kind of, wow, you played it that way, whatever. So he calls. He shows ace queen, which was that top pair hand. So he called with, ace queen with that gut shot on the flop. I think that was it. And I think if we raised, I think I'm not. He probably still calls. Not a gut shot. He called with the open ender. We get more money in there. He calls. I don't think this guy's gonna call. I think when we raise, he's gonna. If we raise, he calls the flop, and then he probably calls too, and that would be pretty decent. But obviously, when we call, that's probably okay, and then we have to bet that turn. He gave us an opportunity to bet that turn, and we didn't do it. Maybe I didn't take it because it's 5NL, and some players are crazy, but and loose and wild or whatever. But I think I made a mistake. I missed the value. I could have gotten a lot more value out of this hand than others. Yeah, a lot more value than on this hand compared to what I actually did. This was a screw up. So, not sure what GTO would say. Again, three players, hard to run GTO, but I do think we missed that. I think our opportunity was that we could have raised the flop, which is entirely possible. I think that's probably acceptable. But even though we called, our next opportunity would have been to fire that turn and probably go for 2/3. He still calls, and then on the ace, I think we bet again. I think then we go down to like maybe half pot, third pot, quarter pot, maybe go in something a little bit slower. He calls again, so we get 2 bets on that from our 2 pair hand. Because I can't give him credit for king queen. And if a player does wake up with king queen or something like that, that's what they have. So hopefully you enjoy this, and if you do, look tomorrow for another.